Okay, well, good morning, everybody. Hello, it is I, Eric Smith, and I am going on a live stream today to answer some questions or some accusations that were made against me yesterday on the Imam Kenny Bomer's show, his live stream. And I'm going to be playing several clips from this. Just to give everybody an idea of how completely dishonest and disingenuous this man really is when it comes to him dealing with other people. He has made shows all week, call in and ask Kenny Bomer questions. And what's amazing with this is that he's the one that's asking the majority of the questions. As soon as you call in, he's got like 50 questions for you. And let's just forget that little fact, though, that he's the one that's making or asking the majority of the questions. But when people do call in, they're normally talked over, talked down to, and generally ridiculed. There was a guy that had called in yesterday, Latino and proud, and they were discussing. I mean, he kept asking this guy, I mean, it must have been 20, 30, 40 questions. I don't know how many questions he asked the guy, but he just wouldn't stop. And the guy is trying to get an answer out of the Imam, and it dealt with Moses and the burning bush, and can God enter his creation? And they went to Surah, I think it was Surah 28, to try to deal with this. And if you go to here's what's amazing about the Quran. The Quran is supposed to be the direct revelation from God, and is supposed to be the exact words of which were spoken at each individual time. But we have all kinds of different narrations of the same event where different things are said. So how can that be from God if God is supposed to, have been there and knows what's going on? But here's what they were talking about. They were talking about, let me share my screen here real quick. I don't want to immediately bore you guys with this, but they were talking about this right here, but it was in chapter 28. And here's where he was complaining it. When he saw the fire, okay, he was called... so I may bring you a brand therein, or may find guidance at the fire. Okay. And when Moses, this is Moses, reached the fire, he was called name, O Moses. Now, notice, it says, I am the Lord. This name says, I am the Lord. So this means that he's Allah. So take off thy shoes. For why are you taking off your shoes? Because you are on holy ground. You are in the holy valley of Tul. Well, what makes this valley holy? Well, of course, the Quran, which is supposed to be completely clear, never really does clarify that. And he uses this. He goes, notice, it doesn't say the voice came from the bush. It wasn't in the bush. And he starts conflating or pushing the topic away from the fact that Allah has indeed entered into his creation, but yet he could not cite any direct quote from the Quran or a hadith that says that. But unfortunately for the Imam, I had a debate a couple years ago with a gentleman by the name of Radu Shuhabat about this very topic. Can Allah enter into this creation? And this was direct slides from that debate that I had with him. And I also went to the Tasfir from Ibn Kathir, and that's not what I want to talk about. I want to talk about this verse right here. You want to start using the Quran? You want to say that Allah cannot enter his creation? Well, then you better look in your Quran. According to Pickthall in chapter 27. Notice I said this is chapter 27, not chapter 28, not chapter 20. This is 27. Notice it says, when he reached it, the bush, he was called, saying, blessed who is so ever in the fire. Well, where is the fire? The fire is this burning bush that is not consumed. Who's in the fire? Him who is blessed. Who is blessed? Allah. And whoever is round and about it, and glorified be Allah. So here you have a direct example of where God can enter into his creation. And this is where, when you call into the show, you're never able to quite yeah, Danny says that he was called away from it. Yeah, he kept saying he was called away from it. He was not called away. The guy's right there in the bush. It's right there. He's in there in the bush. So, try to say that he was called away or try to conflate is just disingenuous. And, that's what I would completely expect, what we get from them. Okay, so where do I begin with this? Well, let me begin with a quote made by the Imam. Let me see here. It was made at the 1 hour, 24-minute mark. So let me back this up here. 24 minutes and 49 seconds. 48. That's close enough. All right. So let's just wait a second. Let me stop sharing my screen. Let me share it again because I want to get the audio in here. Hold on just a second. Okay. Okay, my daughter just got here. Okay, we're going to share the screen, share the audio, and let's take a listen to what is said here. As a matter of fact, I don't want to share my screen, but what I'm going to do is I'll just play the audio. Okay, here we go.
Of it. So proud of it, flying the Israeli flag behind them while the Palestinians are being bombed by the Israelis, and claiming that the Palestinians are the problem. And when I say, by example, when I say that I believe that the Palestinians have a right to fight back, now I'm a supporter of Hamas and I'm a supporter of terrorism. I didn't say that. I said that I'm all for the Palestinians fighting back against the atrocities and the oppression in any way that they possibly can. If it's rocks, if it's bottles, if it's a rocket, then they're fighting back against the oppression being committed against them. While this man's flying a Israeli flag. Now, because we put pressure on it, he's changed it to the American flag. But nevertheless, he's consistently doing these things. And a person who does this so consistently and is
Okay, so a couple things here. He says that he has pressured me to stop flying the Israeli flag in my background. How arrogant can you be?
It's a hate flag. Hate flag.
Good. Yeah. I mean, if this wasn't so dishonest and so untrue, I don't even know what to say about that. He says, "Oh well, he's flying the American flag." Well, the reason why I changed it to the American flag the next week is because it was July 4th. That's why it was the American flag. I just didn't put it back up. But you're going to tell me that I can't fly this, or you're going to put pressure on me not to fly this? Guess what, Imam? It's just like, oh, you can't show images of cartoons of Muhammad. Guess what? We show images of Muhammad. Guess what? This thing stays up now. Too bad. So sad. What a arrogant. And then he starts talking about, oh, he did not say he supported the firing rockets of Israel. Oh, really? Oh, okay. Well, let's have a little listen here. Hold on. Maybe
I wanted to say one quick thing too.
Go ahead.
You can support Palestinians and you can support Israelis. They're not mutually exclusive. And I think that this is the problem, that people are like, there's a struggle here. We don't have all the facts that are on the ground. People are traumatized, people are in pain, and instead because people support Israel, somehow people think that invalidates people who are Palestinian. I've never talked to any Israeli or anybody who supports Israel that doesn't support Palestinians. I think you can support Israel and support Palestinians. Some people support a two-state solution. Some people support situations where Palestinians live in the Israeli territory, and some people believe if there's a two-state solution, people live in the Israelis living, Jewish Israelis living in the Palestinian territory. These aren't mutually exclusive things, so I don't understand.
It's the way they frame it, Issa, and you know this. You know this. It's just the way that they frame the whole argument. It's like those poor Palestinians are the ones that are being repressed, and it's the Israelis who are the apartheid aggressors in this. And when you look at it, the opposite is what is true. The Israelis only protected themselves because these guys were crossing into East Jerusalem and killing Israelis by blowing themselves up all over the place. So they've had to put all these things into place in order to separate themselves. And then this really jerked my chain when he says that he supports the indiscriminate. Listen to it. Okay, let's just listen to what he says as far as how he lies about. Oh, I never said I supported Hamas. Oh, okay. Well, let's take a listen. Let's take a listen to this.
Yeah. And yes, it's shooting rockets into another country without regard. Yes, let me tell you why it's justified.
Okay, so let me tell you why I can justify indiscriminately firing rockets from the Gaza Strip into Israel. But I don't support terrorism. Oh, no, 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 no. And he even had the audacity to say, well, where did I say that I supported or Hamas was doing it? Well, who the Hades do you think is firing those rockets? And if you say that you support the firing of those rockets, what you're doing is you're supporting the group that fires them. That would be Hamas, a designated terrorist organization, and Islamic Jihad, another terrorist organization. What a conflating, obfuscating, dishonest individual. Okay, Issa, I wanted you to come up and explain to what happened to you yesterday on there, if you could. Let me see here. What is Aladdin? What is this? Aladdin. Where does it say in Quran 27, God entered his creation? You lie big time. Be ashamed of yourself. This is stupidity. I don't know. I don't know. Let's look. Maybe I am lying. Who knows? It says, when he reached it, he was called, saying, blessed is whoever is in the fire. Well, who's in the fire? Where's the fire? The fire is right there in the burning bush, Mr. Aladdin. He's in the burning bush. So I'm not sure how you can be so confused about something. Well, I do know how you can be so confused about that. Okay, Issa, were you coming up or did you step away? Okay, I believe our brother Issa stepped away unless I am... Rad, can you hear me? Have I muted myself? Oh dear. Okay, so let me jump over to here to see if they can hear me. Maybe I am not. Can... Let me join, and I will debate the subject with you. No, Aladdin, you bore me. You're not coming on here. Okay, Danny hears me. All right, fine. All right. Okay, so let's maybe Aladdin, we could debate that some other time, but we're not today. I got other things to take care of here today. All right, so let's go ahead and back it up here to timestamp 1 hour 1:15 mark, and our friend here in the chat, Danny Davis, had called in and asked the Imam a question about why is he trying to, why is he continuing to attack me? Why is he trying to get me fired from a job that I've already retired from? Oh, no, he hasn't. We're still investigating that. Good luck. Okay, here we go.
Woman that has nothing to do with what we do online?
No, that's a good question, Danny, and I can see where you would try to suggest that. But let's clarify something. So the consistency of a man defines who he is, right? And so when you're consistently antagonizing, when you're consistently trying to cause trouble and trying to cause division, when you're consistently labeling whole.
Okay, so notice the consistency of a man defines who he is. So if we were to look at the consistency, and this is what's so amazing about this, is that if we can look at the consistency of the Imam's life, which we have, people in our group here have looked at because of his attacks on me, and we've made them public, then we can't judge him by what he has done in his past. However, it's perfectly okay to attack me for something that you don't know anything about. It only applies to this kafir. Now, notice he said trouble and division. I caught on to that. Notice how he's not saying corruption anymore or anything of that sort. He's changed it to trouble and division because why? Because he knows that if something happens to me in the future, and we've already got the video of it, where one of his sycophants does any type of physical harm to me, he's liable. He's going to be held liable for that. So, yeah. Okay, so let's go to 124 to 34.
Whole religion as being evil or demonic or being from Satan and so forth. and you do this consistently.
Okay, number one, I have not labeled an entire religion evil and demonic. If I have, go ahead and put up and shut up, or shut up. One of the two. I have not. What I have done, though, here's what I have done, and this is what he can't stand, is that I have said that people who follow or who think that Muhammad is a perfect example for all time to follow are spiritually blinded. And I believe that spiritual blindness is indeed demonically inspired. And here's an example. I'm going to continue to bring this up. Muhammad is supposed to be an example. As a matter of fact, I found this last night. I was reading The Reliance of the Traveler. Why? Because I have no life. But anyway, Muhammad was 54 years old, and he crawls on top of a prepubescent nine-year-old little girl and continues to do this, and he calls it marriage. I call it evil, is what I call it. And I call somebody who does that type of thing a pedophile, and I call that type of person a scumbag. Well, when I say that he's a pedophile, that he's a scumbag, well, then that is wrong. Because why? Well, this is a prophet. This guy, he calls him a prophet. I call the guy a scumbag. Danny asked him about, do you think that your evidence against Eric would hold up in a court of law? And this is something that would come up. You think this guy's a prophet? This is why I say these things. And the reason why I say this is because last night I had just happened to come across, because Kenny was talking about something about the laws of divorce, and I found a couple things about how it's in the book where women cannot leave the house without the man. But that's not what I found that was so illuminating. Let's see here. Here it is. Okay, this is over on page 584. No, it's not. I lied. I misspoke. Let me say that differently. 576. We are in. We're talking about divorce here in N12.2, and this passage here deals with becoming unmarriageable, kin by suckling, Rita. Okay, and here's what it says in we call it Bowleg A in section A here. It says the milk comes from a female at least 9 years old. At least 9 years old. At least 9 years. At least 9 years old. Whether it is occasioned by sexual intercourse or something else.
What? Read that again.
Listen to this. Okay, it's talking about how a woman becomes you cannot marry her, and it's saying that you cannot marry her if she suckled you when you were an infant or a toddler. That's what this is dealing with here. Okay. Now listen. It gives an age. Now, why does it give 9 years old? Well, Aisha. But listen. The milk, you are not marriageable if the milk comes from a female at least 9 years old. Why isn't it 8 years old? Why isn't it 10 years old? Why isn't it 12 years old? Why is it 9 years old? God, it just disgusts me. Whether it is occasioned by sexual intercourse. So a 9-year-old.
No. Here's the thing that we have to point out. Okay, first of all, Eric, please stop calling Muhammad a scumbag, because that is it insult the scumbags everywhere. Yeah. Secondly, this is the thing on this topic of Aisha. Okay, putting all historicity aside, let's say that this was perfectly acceptable thing to do in 7th century Arabia at one point in time, although I would argue that it wasn't. But let's just say that this was. The thing is that as the Reliance of the Traveler proves, as well as all the other Mutawa books, or whatever we call it, the books on Islamic jurisprudence prove on this very topic, is that not only is it acceptable for Muhammad to do it in the 7th century Arabia, but it is now acceptable for any Muslim man to do this at any place in the world, in any time, in any region, as long as they're a Muslim.
Right. That's
He codified this in law. Okay. So if the Muslims want to bring it, well, look at the state of Delaware. Okay, fine. In the 1700s, yeah, they got rid of that law, or 1800s, whatever it was. Okay. In other words, that's not codified into an eternal law that you can never do away with it. And I think that's just the main difference and why this thing is truly disgusting to me. And the fact that they defend it is truly disgusting to me. But anyway, sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, I mean, yeah, the difference is in all of this, and this is what they will never admit, they can't admit, is that Muhammad set this example for all time. So when it says in here 9 years old, it says it for a very specific reason. And it says it for a very specific reason. It doesn't give any other age. And the reason is because Aisha was 9 years old, and that establishes an age of consensual marriage is what it essentially does, because it's the section deals with divorce from who? Well, from a woman. Well, if that woman is 9 years old and you've already consummated that marriage, and that little girl has already had a child and she's suckling that child, because it says either by intercourse or otherwise, it says something along those lines, that tells anybody else who would make an application of that law that you can marry little girls for all time, even today, 2021, according to the jurisprudence manual of Islamic law, the Sharia, approved by the 4 schools, main schools of Islamic jurisprudence. You can do that. And I'm a hate preacher for pointing that out. Unbelievable. Okay, so let's go back to our video here. Justifying why it's okay to put a picture of my superintendent on the internet.
Rhetoric that they use. And so Brother Charles listing the name of that employer was to
which was public.
That makes it okay. It's public knowledge. That makes it okay.
Right. It was already public. He made his employer public, is the name of his employer public. As a matter of fact, Eric Smith did. And on top.
No, I did not make the name of, well, if he did, okay. If I said that I was a teacher in the Cedar Rapids School District, that's true. But I never made it personal about the superintendent. So again, you have a conflation of terms here, but you know,
well,
any less from your mom.
Not only that, but what does she have to do with any of this? Nothing. You know what I mean? I mean, he posted. I mean, even if her picture was on the website of the school board, whatever, what does that have to do with anything? Why post that? Why do that? Why post her picture, her phone number? You know, you can. I mean, that's the one thing. At least Kenny and Lemmy, Marshall, at least they didn't do that. You know, they actually kept it private emails. You know, with the threats of calling. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you know, no, this and they don't see. I mean, anyway, go ahead, continue.
Well, that's what prompted everybody downtown. It's like what. Show me that again. What was that? That's that's what got everybody. Okay, let me finish this clip here.
I
got another 15 seconds.
I wanted to say one quick thing, if you don't mind. Just one quick interjection on this point.
Go ahead.
The thing I wanted to say that kind of bothered me about this deeply is we are in a space, and I've said this over and over again in all the things. I'm very consistent about what I say on this show, is that we're in a space of hard conversation. So we're dealing with things where people have faith. People have very strong beliefs in faith, and people believe that their faith is correct. And they are going to defend their faith. So if there's another faith that doesn't agree, there's going to be a conflict. That is the kind of the ground rules of the space, that you're going to feel that there's difficulty and pain and all these kinds of things that are present. So if someone says something that you feel offended by, then you can have a different argument. Like, I mean, if it was me, like, if, for example, with the cartoons, you could say, if I'm going to take a Muslim perspective, I'd say, that's not really Muhammad. That's just a book. I don't believe in that Muhammad. I'm not solely scripture. I don't connect to that text. That doesn't relate to me. That's not how I view him. So it doesn't mean anything. Why am I offended? Because it's not real. So I'm like, why? I don't know why people would be offended unless they believe that it is real. And if it is real, then that's something that you have to wrestle with and you have to engage, and that's the important thing. I would say the same thing like in the Christian community. If you see Jesus in a terrible position in a cartoon, I would say, I'm not going to speak for all Christians, but I think Christians would agree. If Christians saw this cartoon, they said, that's not really Jesus. That's some cartoon. That's fake and it's not real. The real Jesus is not this cartoon. So I'm like, this is the thing. I'm like, it's not really about hate speech. It's about people having their faith and people having perspectives of sharing what they feel about, especially if you're in dialogue with another faith that you don't agree with. You're going to say, I'm bringing up these objections and I would like real answers to them. I have certain ethical standards of this time. You said your teaching is timeless. I want to understand this. So let's engage. Let's not throw and attack people. And if someone has a job, you don't go and say, I'm going to attack this job because this person doesn't agree with me. This is faith. You're going to have your beliefs and your perspectives. You've got to have a certain level of decorum, and you're going to deal with hard things and hard issues. And I'm just saying.
Well, his position is that anybody that is in a position of influence over anybody else cannot criticize Islam. That's that when you cut to the chase. He wants to ensure that anybody that is in a position that could influence even children. Let's say I worked at a daycare and I held these positions. Well, according to him, I would be disqualified from working at a daycare. If I worked as, let's say, a bus driver, which nobody ever wants to be a bus driver, or a school bus driver anyway, I would be disqualified from holding that type of position. So his position is absolutely ridiculous in light of Western values, which is freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom to criticize, freedom to question. He can't handle that. And then when you make assertions, and if you do understand what the Hadith teach, and you do understand what the Quran teaches, and you see the application of that across the world, and you report on that, well, you're a hate preacher, you're a hate monger, don't you see? That's how it all works out in his little world. Let me finish playing this this clip here. I got another 15 seconds or so. Got the wheel of death.
The objective was to stop oppression and stop injustice and to stop people from doing what happened at Speaker's Corner as of late, and stop people from getting in their pickup truck at 19, 20 years old or whatever he was and running down a Muslim family just for the sake of running down a Muslim family.
Okay, so the objective is to keep Muslim families. Don't follow this. The objective of trying to have me removed from a classroom is to protect people from running down Muslim families. Does anybody really believe that? I mean, seriously, can you actually believe that?
See, this makes absolutely no sense. So somehow, the Cross and the Crescent discussion TV, and specifically you, Eric Smith, with your hater Israeli flag in the background, are personally responsible for some nutcase. Okay, I mean,
oh my
doing
God.
a horrible.
David too. Hold on.
Yeah, I'll start David.
Sorry.
You need to put it. You need to put the cross in the center of that. That would then you can piss off all the Jews too. But no, seriously, I mean that somehow that you are directly, personally responsible, okay, for some nutcase, some who would do this? Who would think to do this? Now, okay, if they were Antifa and blocking the highway, then okay, I could see that. But I mean, just to run down, a Muslim family, somehow you're personally responsible for this. But Islam, and what Kenny does, is not responsible for what happened in Speaker's Corner, or right. Also he would not be responsible if some, because C.L. Edwards, said, and I agree with that. Yes. Muslims can have mental breakdowns. They can suffer from mental problems. I mean, they can, have a psychotic break and hear the rocks in the trees calling them and telling them it's time to go kill Jews. Okay, I could see that. Okay, but somehow none of that is responsible for Hatun's attack. You know what I mean? And seriously, right. think about this. He posted a picture of an innocent woman. What if she was attacked by a Muslim who heard the rocks in the trees telling him it's time to go kill Jews, and somehow he thought she was a Jew. I don't know, maybe she is a Jew. I don't know. But just went and attacked her because they did not fire you promptly enough, or they allowed you to retire. Think about this. They allowed you to retire. That's not the same as being fired. So you're still getting money, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So therefore, they can have that. So therefore, why not go attack? The for this.
Attack who for this? Who'd you say? Attack who for this?
The superintendent or the school board members. You know what I mean? Who signed off on it? I mean, why not? I mean, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, the person's crazy. They can do that.
Right, and here's the point that we're making. If you're going to post, if you're going to try to say that, okay, I was the one, or they want to prevent me from influencing people to run down Muslim families, which, oh, by the way, this show gave a full-throated, unequivocal condemnation about that event when we learned it, when it happened. And to say I could care less if he was a Christian is not true. I could care if he was a Christian, because if he was a Christian, he would receive the more condemnation from me, because he's not acting out on the admonitions of Christ. But look what he did on the other hand. And when we see Hatun getting attacked, getting stabbed over there on Speaker's Corner, and we see a progression of this happening as time goes by. 2 weeks ago, somebody stole their Bible and nobody said dink about it, or that's funny. Nobody condemned that. Nobody condemned Hatun, or we didn't see that universal condemnation from the Imam when somebody just about knocked her head off her shoulders by slapping and breaking her glasses. No, this is what we get from the Imam, who says that she's a known antagonist of Muslims. And, this is what, which is really odd about all this, is that if something happens to me, I wonder how much responsibility he's going to claim for himself. But with that said, look what he says about her. She was a known antagonist. And look at what she's doing. She has a Quran with holes drilled in it, and a picture who she referred to as Muhammad. And listen how he mocks her. She should have turned the other cheek. Based on what? Based on her values or religious beliefs, like he insisted in that video that he did on her the other day, which is a blatant, outright lie. No. He said based on her constantly positioning herself as an enemy of Islam. So can we blame Kenny now for that knife attack on Hatun? It seems to me that if he was going to be consistent, which he never is, that we could just go ahead and do that. But hey, making sense out of all this and being consistent out of all of this is never one of his strong points. Okay, so let's.
Well, here's another thing on this. Okay, so Kenny, okay, seriously, dude, okay, you have no idea how foul this is, what you guys have done. How outside of the norm, how outside of the bounds of reason that this is, okay? Now, here's the thing. These dudes, they are self-righteous. They're self-justified. They actually view themselves as fighters of the oppression. Think about the words that he uses. He's constantly using enemies of Islam, oppressors. We must fight the oppressor. He calls you an oppressor. We must fight the oppression. What does it say in the Quran? Slaughter is worse. Oppression is worse than slaughter. Oppression is worse than slaughter. Okay, and the Quran also says, you may do something. Verse 2, it says, not verse 2, Surah 2. You may do something that you like or that you love, but it is a bad thing. But in other words, do so. Okay. Turning the other cheek or not killing people, that's doing something you love, okay, but that is a bad thing. Instead, you must do something you hate, which is killing people, because that is a good thing. I'll have to look up that verse, but it is specifically talking about that situation. You know what I mean? It's one of the rare verses that love is mentioned. Let me look that up for you. But anyway, continue on. Okay. But remember, you're an oppressor. You're an oppressor.
Yeah, figure the odds. All right. Here we got about
down a Muslim family.
30 seconds.
So with that being said, again, what we're doing is fighting the injustice. And sometimes if you have to label someone an Islamophobe, if you have to label someone swine of the humankind because they indeed act like swine, meaning that they act like animals in the way they
Notice how he's justifying the name call. I mean, it's just absolutely amazing.
they function intellectually. They function like animals in trying to cause division and trying to cause destruction like a swine would do. A wild pig, what does he do? He goes into the forest and he ruts and he searches and he scavenges. And that's what these types of people are doing, and trying to scavenge away, trying to scavenge a grass on a straw in order to try to disprove Islam in some way.
Such oppression.
Yeah, I'm out there running around like a pig.
Notice he knows an awful lot about pig behavior. I mean, I'm shocked at that one in itself. You know, he's you know, I mean, that was great graphic detail. He must have thought about that a lot. But notice again, you are the oppressor. You are the okay. I mean, no, seriously. He's actually inciting people to do violence against you with the Quran. He's using Quran terminology that is used in fighting oppression, killing people, slaying people, mischief maker, fitna creator, whatever. All these things, okay, that are to be responded to with.
Well, notice how he changed it to trouble. Somebody's causing trouble and
division.
There we go.
Well, division is fitness, so it's the same thing. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
All right. So it doesn't matter how he tries to reword it, but because he said it in the past. But either way, he's using these phraseologies. Okay, this terminology, I should say, that is associated with these violent passages in the Quran, as well. Okay, as in the Hadiths. I mean, no. The dude is seriously, he's getting ready to explode, man.
Well, notice what's going on here. He's the one that is saying that you're like a swine of the humankind for criticizing a man, pointing out a man is not a prophet, is not somebody to emulate, because that man has caused women today, because he crawled on top of a prepubescent 9-year-old girl when he was 54, and is now an example, setting 9 years old as a marriageable age to have children, to have sex through sexual intercourse, says it right there in the book. That is not swine-like. No. That's not animalistic, don't you see? It is criticizing that. The criticism of that is animalistic. The criticism of that is swine-like. And notice also how hypocritical he is, where he'll say that, hitting your wife with a closed fist in the face. No, that's not animalistic. That is not swine-like. But criticizing wife beating is animalistic and swine-like. So when we start talking about, he's always trying to disprove Islam, well, when you look at what Islam teaches about Christianity and about how Christ, through his sacrifice on a cross, saves us from our sins, and that there's nothing that we in of ourselves can do to save ourselves, but it's only through his crucifixion and his sacrificial atonement and resurrection that we are indeed saved. That is swine-like. Proving that ideology is swine-like, or proving the ideology that denies that is swine-like. Denying the truth. The most demonstrable fact, and when I say it is a fact, you don't get a more demonstrable fact from antiquity than you do the crucifixion of Christ. And here's what he's done to disprove it. This is what he's done on my show before. Number one, he's come back, or he's said that the gospel of Barnabas, he cites the gospel of Barnabas as a refutation of the crucifixion. The first time he was on my show, he uses the gospel of Barnabas as a refutation of the crucifixion of Christ. At another time on the show, he tries to refute the crucifixion of Jesus Christ by going to 1 Corinthians 15. 1 Corinthians 15, 3-8, that is this early Christian creed, dated by most scholars. Even Bart Ehrman dates it to within about a year and a half of the cross, that say that Jesus died on a cross, that he rose again and was witnessed by the disciples and 500 people. That passage right there. He goes to that chapter in 1 Corinthians because after that, it says that some people doubted not that he was crucified. And I caught him in his lie. I mean, this is what he does. Doubted that Jesus rose from the dead. It wasn't that they doubted that he had died on a cross. They doubted that he rose from the dead. So this is what he does. He conflates, he obfuscates, and he uses this dishonesty to try to dissuade Christians or have Christians lose faith and trust in Jesus Christ and what he did. It's really amazing. All right. So
hold on. I'm sharing my screen. Can you pull that up? I found the verse. Okay. Can you make it bigger or okay.
Yep.
Okay. Fighting. This is Sir 2. What's this number here?
216.
216. Yeah. Fighting has been enjoined upon you while it is hateful to you. But perhaps you hate a thing and it is good for you. And perhaps you love a thing and it is bad for you. And Allah knows best while you know not. So let's unpack this verse. People hate fighting. They hate going to war, killing people and being killed. They hate that, right? But it's been enjoined to them. It's been given to them. Ordained, in other words, prescribed, okay, mandatory, so on and so forth, even though they hate it. But then it says that you hate a thing that is good for you. In other words, this fighting is good for you. It is a good thing. Okay, and if you love something in this contract, in other words, not fighting, not killing, in other words, peace, that is bad for you. Do you see that? Do you see? I mean, that's one of the rare verses where love is mentioned in the Quran, and it's talking about the love of going out and killing people, going out and making war.
How can somebody love that? I mean, that's just sick. Okay, let's play this next clip. Oh, what happened to Issa?
He said he was losing connection or something. So
yeah, he's okay. He's got a life, evidently. On the other hand, the Dr. Radical Madden, okay, he just came back. Sorry.
I don't have a life either. I'm an apologist. What do you say? Apologist groupie. Yeah, go ahead.
Is that what it is? Okay. All right. Let's listen to what he says here. Okay.
Problem in my mind, because that type of person may just come in contact with.
Rewind it. Turn it up. It's like real muted. Like it's muffled. I don't know what you did.
What happened?
It's like real soft. So turn it up, or I don't know what you did. Do it again.
All right. Let me go back here. 18. What is that? 18. 39. Okay, right here. And I'm just going to mute myself. That's all the way up.
We can't hear it. Did you check the box? Did you check the box that says play the sound?
Okay, I think what happened. Okay, let me. I think what happened was when I shared your screen, that dropped off. So let me share my screen again. Share. And then, yeah, because it didn't, it dropped off. Okay. Here we go.
Problem in my mind, because that type of person may just come in contact with Muslim children. Most likely he has come in contact with Muslim children. And if he made these types of comments, then that subjugates the Muslim.
Mute yourself, Eric. Mute yourself. You're echoing.
Like their religion, there's something wrong with it because they're just a child. They're not operating with full knowledge about everything, and so they're being influenced by everyone in society, right? And so an educator, a teacher, he has a responsibility to make sure that he carries himself consistently as a decent person who's not attacking anyone's race, who's not attacking anyone's sexuality, their gender. He's not attacking anyone's religion. He's not attacking any social group whatsoever, because he's an educator and he will be held accountable for that.
Okay, a lot of things here that I want to get to. Okay, so number one, the fact is that I have indeed taught dozens of Muslim children in my classes. Dozens, literally dozens of them. And without exception, every single one of them has adored me as a teacher. I have had a great relationship with every single one that I've known was Muslim, without exception. So to make that type of statement is predicated on complete ignorance of what happens in a classroom, number one. Let's see here. You're clueless. Okay, yeah, he doesn't know what goes on in the classroom. Okay, he just has it's. And here's the thing: you don't know what goes on in the classroom, but let you want to project what you think might happen based on words that I have said on this show. You have no idea what goes on in that classroom, but yet you're concerned about people who are commenting on race, gender, sexuality, religion, things like this. Really? You're concerned, you're really truly concerned about this. You're concerned about race, where your prophet called Africans raisin heads. But you're concerned about race, right? Right? You're concerned about gender, where your book, your law, says that you can beat women into submission if you fear. Not if they are disloyal, but if you fear disloyalty. Or women, like I was reading last night, they can't leave the house without a close male relative. Why? Well, why is that? But you want to talk about gender equality? Really? You're really that hypocritical? You want to talk about, what was the other one? Sexuality? When your co-religionists are throwing homosexuals off of the top of buildings for being homosexual, where it says right in your own, I think it's in the Hadith, it might even be in the Quran, where you are to kill homosexuals, and you want to talk about, you're concerned about sexuality, you're concerned about religion, where your own Allah calls Christians the worst of creatures, where your own Hadith says that Jews are pigs, monkeys. I don't know if you can be more hypocritical than that. Okay, let's go to 1930.
Okay, so that's why we've done what we've done with
right
Eric
here.
Smith.
Okay, he's going to justify what he's doing here. We need to know why he's doing this. I mean, because what he's doing, of course, is the right thing.
Not to try to take money out of away from his family. Not to try to do anything other than protect the children from being exposed to any type of hate mongering or hate rhetoric or any type of derogatory comments about Islam or Muslims or the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and most of all, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our God, our creator.
Okay, so his job is to protect the children. That's their purpose, to protect the children. To protect the children from what? Oh, well, he's going to hate mom. You see, this is, again, he has no idea what goes on in the classroom. But yet he has no problem with he himself, who's not even allowed to own a firearm, being around children. Marshall Gregory, same thing. You want that guy hanging around children? Charles Doyle, who turned around and scuffed up a kid in the back of a squad car himself. That's okay for them to be around children. That's okay. But to have a professional around children, well, no, that's unacceptable. So when somebody speaks out against a prophet, self-proclaimed prophet, who has done these type of things to little 9-year-old girls, we can't have that, huh? No. I need to be silenced. I need to be taken out of that classroom. Sick how he tries to justify this. All right, let's go to the next clip. 1:21:25. I jumped ahead quite a bit here too. I'm sorry, because we're running out of time. I don't want to be here all day.
Of this show, this disclaimer of the show, we say clearly that we're not here to attack anyone's religion, no individual, no belief system, no group of people, no race, no nationality. That's not what we're doing here.
Sure.
But when an Islamophobe comes, an antagonist comes, and when you act like the swine of the humankind, and that label has been placed upon you, it's been placed upon you because of your own actions being consistently involved in doing that. And notice,
he he is the judge of all swine. He judges all swine. He determines, who is swine and who is not. But notice again in the previous clip and in this clip, notice again, first of all, the dehumanization. But notice again, he's the speaker for oppression. Well, first of all, again, it was been pointed out. He said he may have come into contact, so he doesn't even know. Again, if you have, okay, or what you said, whatever, just the possibility, okay, is enough to judge you as an oppressor. You are an oppressor, Eric Smith, and you're dehumanized because he judges all the swine on the earth, okay? Swine of the humankind. That actually is kind of funny.
What was amazing about this is he says that we don't criticize people based on, we don't criticize people, but you're a swine of the humankind. Calls Danny Davis a hate monger. Calls Kelly Powers a hate preacher. That's, we can say that. That's not hate. That's not calling people names. No.
And don't forget the head hater here, right here, Dr. Issa Kabeer. He's the head hater now.
Yeah, evidently. Yeah. There's one word, and for this, delusional. That I have no idea how he can sit there and say swine of the humankind, call people hate preachers consistently on his show, and say that we don't criticize Christianity. He says we don't criticize Christianity. We don't criticize the Bible, other people's views. Really? On this same show, he's mocking the story in Genesis where God is walking with Adam and Eve in the cool of the evening. And then when Adam sins, God calls out, and this is the exegesis of, this is the what type of exegesis he has of the Bible. He goes, well, God doesn't know something. He doesn't know where Adam is. Why is he calling out to Adam? Where are you, Adam? This is the depth of scholarship that you get from this guy. I'm not going to nag on his education or anything like that, but this is the depth of scholarship that you get on this show. And then he says, well, we don't criticize, we don't mock, but you just did it on your show. Liar. All right, let's go to 22:10. What did he say here?
The mockery and the making fun of people's personal lives and going into their past and trying to conjure all this stuff up when we're dealing with religious topics, religious issues. We're not talking about what Kenny Bomer did at the age of 12 or 15 or 17 or 27 or 37. This is 2021 in July, and we still have people in the last week or so on that very platform that you're talking about.
Okay, so what he's saying, he's upset that we went into his personal life, defending ourselves from his attacks, to ensure that everybody knew exactly who this person was who was attacking me, who was slandering me. That's why we did it. But he's all upset that we did that. Didn't he say somewhere on here that, what was it? The consistency of a man demonstrates who he is. And then when we point that out to him, that's not being consistent. And he wants to see it. He has the audacity to be upset that somebody exposed him for who he is. Really? I
wanted to say one thing too. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interject, but the thing too, I think it's important to, in looking at this whole thing, is the issue of what the critique is. It's a scripture, like I would say sola scriptura, but it's a scriptural argument. You're making a scriptural critique. This is what you're dealing with. So this is something that it's a conversation. It has been about religion. This is what it's about. These are tough topics. Like I said before, these are tough issues, particularly with our modern standard of ethics. This is a tough thing to deal with, things that we see that are very controversial, and having to reconcile if this is timeless or not. These are the questions that we're dealing with here. It's not about, oh my God, you're saying this horrible, hateful speech. It's like, because the thing is, I wanted to mention, at the end of the show, there was something that really I was kind of offended by. At the end of the show, they said, oh, on our channels, we're going to go and make videos that are going to mock the Bible. But I'm like, didn't you just say that you don't believe in mockery? I mean, you said in one statement you believe that we are not mocking anyone. And then he said, what kind of things are you going to have on your videos at the end? Oh, we're going to make videos that mock the Bible. And I'm like, but I thought we're supposed to respect and care about all these other traditions. I was just like, that kind of shocked me when I heard those words, you know.
Well, yeah. Oh, I didn't hear that, but well, I got news for Kenny. They're already doing it anyway. So, but at least they're admitting it now. Wow, you know, that doesn't even shock me. Here's another thing on this. Okay, see, he makes it sound, and he knows better. So this is a liable mission. He makes it sound that all of a sudden, after 3 years of dealing with him, we all decided out of the blue for no reason, because we could not refute his arguments against the Bible or refute his arguments in favor of the Quran, that somehow to attack his past life, which was actually just like 2 years before we met him. Okay, so that was like real recent history for him. Okay, no, the reason why, and we've stated this over and over again. Okay, Kenny, C.L. Edwards, Charles, all of you that are jumping on this, the reason why we did this, specifically me. So they're blaming Eric for something that I actually did. The reason why is because the threats of first was Marshall for a couple years, off and on over a couple years, that he was going to show up to the school. He was always sending pictures of school, pictures of school. What do you call it? Of outside exteriors of school. Is this where you teach? Is this where we're going to show up? And they got more and more graphic.
And then there were him on a plane.
Yeah. Then he took a picture of him on a plane saying, "Guess where I'm going? I'm going to Cedar Rapids, Iowa, because flights are really cheap." And then then the pictures of Eric's, boss. Right? Okay. And he was sending pictures. Is this your boss? We're going to call her. We're talking. She's really interested. And then they would send email, snippets of emails that he was allegedly sending and all this other stuff. And then finally Kenny chimes in. Kenny denies it, but we got the emails. We got the recibos, as, some people like to say. But where he says, where he repeats Marshall saying, "Oh, guess what? Thanks to COVID, flights are real cheap. To Cedar Rapids, we're going to book some flights, get everybody there, and we're coming. Oh yes, we're coming." And Eric responds, "I've been hearing from Marshall for years." Okay. And Kenny responds, "Well, I'm not Marshall. I say a thing and I do a thing." Okay. And then it just got progressively worse from there. So I said, you know what? Maybe we should look him up. So I spent the $23, or no, was it $23.70? To get this massive treasure trove of files. And I didn't even get them all because I only looked in one county. There's other counties in Texas. Who would have thought? Okay, I didn't know about the shootout that he had and the slashing someone's tires,
Shot out somebody's tires.
Yeah, whatever.
According to the report, it sounds like he shot out somebody's tires.
Right. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't know about. Thanks, Marshall.
We don't need to. Kids don't need to be protected from that now. No.
Yeah, of course not. So then I compiled this report, okay, and we put it on the website, which we still have to make that public. I keep forgetting to do that. But on the public, I went on Adam's show and I went over the report, and then we were going to do a live stream releasing all this information, what I have. And all of a sudden, Kenny contacted Sam Shimon. Sam Shimon became the peacemaker. Go figure that. The biggest hater, according to Muslims out there. He became
Charles Worrell hates Sam, too.
Yeah.
He hates him with a passion.
So it was Sam Shimon that was the peacemaker. 15 minutes, all of a sudden, Eric was like, "Guys, you're not going to believe this." I remember, I'm like, "What?" So I just got off the phone with Sam, and Kenny reached out to him. And he really doesn't want, us to do this. And he says he's sorry. They were never going to come to Cedar Rapids. They were just yanking your chain, blah, blah, blah. Right? Remember that? And, this is a very hurtful and painful time for him. And so we're like, okay, fine. We're not going to do it. And then Kenny also sent emails, didn't he? Oh, that was another thing. The emails would go for, conciliatory, right? Then he sent an email basically saying the same thing. We're not going to come to Cedar Rapids.
Well, after he threatens me.
Right.
He goes, "Look, I'm not your enemy. We were just kidding about coming to get you fired."
Yeah. And then the next day, the next day, all of a sudden he flips the script and it's all in caps. I mean, seriously, like a huge block of text, all in caps. "Yeah, well, I don't care what you do." I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And that's how he works. I mean, 1 minute he's nice, and then if you don't concede to him the way he wants you to, then he blows up again. But either way, we left them alone. We kept up our bargain, did we not? And it was peaceful for 8 months. No more Kenny. Okay, occasionally somebody bring him up, whatever, and I have to remind you all, don't bring up the demon. But anyway, all of a sudden, then back in May, right? That's when that whole Hamas thing happened, the firing of the rockets, and I don't know why, but Eric responded to that. And then Kenny sends this email. I've contacted my lawyer. Yeah, right. And my lawyer says,
cease and desist. Yeah, you can't talk about me.
It's like, whatever, dude. And then all of a sudden, June 3rd, on the Cross and Crescent page, this dude Charles, out of nowhere, I had no idea who he was because I don't pay attention to Kenny. All of a sudden, he posts that picture with the ultimatum, the threat. Eric Smith, you now have a choice. Either you will give up your radio show or give up your teeth. Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah. Get to that.
Yeah, we're getting to that. Yeah. Okay.
I want to say one thing to that too.
One thing about Elizabeth. Hold on.
And that's when I said.
Go ahead, Brad. Finish up.
You know.
Sorry.
What? Scorched earth.
Okay, you're fading in and out, brother.
Do you mind if I say something really quick?
Yeah, go ahead, Issa. Go ahead.
The thing that I felt that's not good about this whole conversation is just this idea that, look, we're having a conversation here, and he actually talked to me about his show in a sort of positive light, where he said, I'm not condemning him, and I don't. I'm like, whatever happened in the past, that's happened in the past. I do believe people have redemption, people make mistakes, people can change, people can transform, and I'm not going to judge people for their past. I don't even think that in any real spiritual tradition that's the right way to go. And I think it's important to understand that there's a context here and there's a conflict here. And that's why I said I reached out to him. I'm like, we need to make peace here. This situation is not good. You came onto the show. You were a collaborator on the show. You never had these views before. You didn't have the views that, you were bad or Rad is bad or anybody in this group is bad.
That all changed when he got humiliated by Hatun. That all changed when she humiliated him on the show.
I saw that conversation. I was actually present. I was like, this is a really...
Okay.
I was there, and I was like, this is a sad situation. I felt, I understand he has a great zeal for Islam, which is, we should value faith. But Hatun has a story. Hatun is an ex-Muslim, right? She has a story, and I think that's the problem in any community. Like, if you have an ex-Christian, you have an ex-Muslim, we need to validate these positions. You might not agree with them, but these positions should be allowed to be there. So I think that's a problem. Like, if someone like Adam Seeker or Stephen or John or anybody who's an ex-Muslim, there's a place for that because they have a story. And just because they felt that they're Christian, that they are now a part of the Christian path, that's their journey now, that shouldn't be invalidated, that they had a previous journey. And people are like, no, they're trying to make money. They're really bad people. And I'm like,
well, look what I got on the screen here. Look what I got on the screen here. This is Elizabeth Milan. She is a former Muslim, converted to Christianity. And Charles Doyle constantly posts crap about her on Facebook, calling her a hate preacher, hate monger, whatever. And he's accused her of making money off of her testimony. Now, this is what they do. This is the smear that they do to people who would have the gall, the unmitigated gall, to speak out against Muhammad, speak out against the Quran, or what these guys actually do to people or try to do to people. So when you start saying, okay, well, we need to have some type of dialogue, they don't want to have a dialogue. That's the whole problem behind this, is because when they do dialogue, they're made to look like the hateful creatures that they are. Because if you just notice the tone, into this guy's heart, all the panels on there, it's just this zeal to destroy. And this is what I keep saying. This is what Muhammad, his teachings, do to people. They create this hatred for anybody and anything that is A, not Islamic, and more importantly, B, that would dare to criticize him. And they even put it in their own law. You cannot criticize Muhammad. To criticize Muhammad is a death sentence. So when people start doing it, and they can't kill you, legally anyway, this is what they do. They try to destroy you.
I just think it's so sad when I hear that. I feel my heart hurts when I hear those words. I'm just like,
It's
I'm
because
like,
you're a decent human being, Issa. That's why it hurts you. Because you understand the difference between right and wrong. You were brought up in and embrace the Judeo-Christian ethic of do unto others as you would have them do unto you. You are for free speech.
I have to be.
And that's
Yeah.
what, yeah,
I
and this is the thing.
I
You
think it's
can't.
important.
This is the and all of these values that they espouse are antithetical to the Western core values, and this is where we run into these problems. And people like myself, like yourself, like the Dr. Radical Madden, we all have to be silenced. Like Elizabeth Milan, we have to be silenced. We have to be marginalized. We have to be called these hate preachers, Islamophobes. You know, and Islamophobe. I mean, what a joke that is. You're an Islamophobe. Okay, so anybody that criticizes Christianity, are they a Christophobe? Notice that word doesn't exist. How about a Hinduphobe? Does that word exist? No. How about a Buddhaphobe? No. Those type of words, Confuciophobe. And none of these words exist except for what? A religion that needs some type of an affirmative action program to protect it. Well, we don't play that here. Go ahead. I didn't hear what you said. What was that?
Oh, me? Oh, I was just saying that I think. Oh, sorry. I think I echoed a little bit. One thing I was just saying that I think is important. What I was going to say is I think what's really important in this dialogue is that we need to be able to be a slightly thick-skinned. We're going to hear things that we don't like to hear, and we're going to see things we don't like to see. And this is a part of apologetics. And I think it's because I'm glad to have been a part of these programs because I've learned a lot. I'm like, it's a difficult space. And I think the truth is, I think it depends on your textual understanding. I think there are different kinds of Muslims, but I think Muslims who are taking this literalistic perspective of the text, there's something that has to be wrestled with, I think. There are mystical Muslims who don't carry these things, and I wouldn't say they're fake Muslims, it's just a different kind of Muslim, and they have a different perspective, they have a different kind of Muhammad. The Prophet Muhammad, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to them is a different Muhammad. This Muhammad doesn't do any of these things. And that's a whole other type of situation. But a lot of people are believing in these books. And if you do believe these books, you got to wrestle with these points. You got to wrestle with these controversial issues. And I think that that's a fair thing to do. I don't think it's unfair to be like, and you know, a lot of Muslims will bring up arguments against Christianity and Judaism and say, look, here are critical things you got to wrestle with.
But the thing is that
and I think that also how conversation space is for, is that you wrestle with hard issues. You can't just deny them and say they don't exist. You say, I couldn't be a Muslim or I couldn't be a Christian because I heard certain values that don't align with my values, and I can't be a part of this type of situation, so I need to distance myself from this community because I don't feel aligned with this thing. That doesn't make you a hate preacher. You could say, I can't agree with these values. They don't work for me. I can't be a part of this community. That doesn't make you a bad person. It just means you're a person who has a different value system. Well, and I think everybody has the right to convert or leave the religion, that they want. Yes, sorry.
Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a couple clips on how he justifies it. So hang on to your hat here.
I'll be right back. I'm here, but I'll be right back.
Okay.
So I'm listening.
All right.
These things, and a person who does this so consistently and is proud to attack Islam and proudly and openly and arrogantly and just disgustingly says he's going to expose Muhammad and he's going to do this, and the people on that panel talk the way that they do,
you're muted, dude. Are you talking? You're muted.
Sorry, I muted myself. Okay, notice he says I'm proud and I'm arrogant. But that's not. It's just me. That is, if it was, it's just my pride and my arrogance when I exposed the fact that Mecca didn't exist in the 7th century. It's my pride and my arrogance when I point out the anachronisms that are in the Quran, clearly demonstrating Muhammad was a historical illiterate. It's my pride and my arrogance when I point out the shortcomings, the vast number of shortcomings in the life of their perfect example to follow. That's pride and that's arrogance, and that has to be stopped. According to somebody that is not prideful nor is arrogant.
And it's all for the children. We should have had the clip of that Simpsons
that's coming.
feature later. Okay, but it's all for the children. But anyway, but what is okay? Let's say it's your pride, you're prideful and arrogant. What does that have to do with you teaching children, junior high schoolers, American history?
Okay, here's where he justifies it. I'm gonna play it. I'm playing it right here. This is kind of a long one. All right, here's how he justifies it.
You can be assured, again, the consistency of a man defines who he is. He's
not his. No, not his consistency. It's just mine. Okay.
Taking that same rhetoric into other aspects of his life, and if he's taking it to the classroom,
Okay, the reason why he says he's taken it to the classroom 3 times is because I just typed into the chat, his chat, that he was a liar. I call him liar. That's why he must have. I'm thinking he saw that, and that's why I kind of.
Anyway. Which he has admitted he's done in numerous streams, that he's made certain statements. Well, if I have to tell them that I don't believe Muhammad is a true prophet, then I'm just going to tell them that I don't believe he's a true prophet, and I'll tell them why.
Okay, no, I have not said that. I haven't made that statement. That's not true. But we don't let the truth get in the way of the Imam here. The problem with him is that he's incapable of discerning what I say because of the hatred that he has for me. And what I have said in the past is that when these discussions come up in a classroom, and this is what he doesn't know anything about, doesn't know anything about being a teacher, when these discussions do come up in a classroom, you engage in them, you lead them, but you let the students express themselves in there. And this is where and here's an example. I wrote down this example. Okay, let's say we're talking about exploration, because this is basically where my curriculum begins, is with exploration and the necessity for Europeans to go out exploring. Well, why do they have to go out exploring? I mean, they were trading with Asia. They had this trade route with Asia. Why did they have to find an alternative route to get to Asia? It was because Constantinople was captured by a bunch of Buddhists by a bunch of not the Hindus, by a bunch of Muslims in 1453. It doesn't matter. So what that did was that cut off the Bosporus and that land bridge, or that bridge between Europe and Asia. So they had to find an alternative route. They had to go around Africa. Columbus had to go west to get to the east. This is why they went exploring. Well, I had a student who fled a place called Burkina Faso. Now, that's a small African country where you have a lot of Islamic militants killing Christians. And his family left because they were Christian. And when he brought this up, he said, when I brought that up, he said, well, this is what they do. I mean, I remember the statement, this is what they do. Another student said, what do they do? And he said, this is what they do. They continually attack Christians. Did I make that statement in my classroom? No. Did a student make that statement in the classroom? Yes. And why did that student make that statement in my classroom, Imam? Is because he experienced it in real life. Another example was I had a student from Nigeria whose family fled Muslim persecution, and we were talking about the Barbary Pirate Wars and how the Pushwa of Tripoli was demanding more tribute from the United States in order to sail in the Mediterranean to trade. And this tribute would have been amounted to, I can't remember what it was, 1/5, 1/4 of the entire budget of the United States in 1804, 1803, somewhere around there. I can't remember exactly when it was. And she brings up the fact that this is in their own Islamic sources. This is what Muhammad did. He called this tribute, this jizya, in the class. So when she brings this up in class, is it true? Of course it's true. This is 929. Look at 929. But then she makes the statement that Muhammad there's no way could be a prophet, and the reason why. And then she makes the statement about Aisha being 9 and 54. And the whole class is like, ugh, and they get the case of the weebie-jeebies. So when you start saying that, oh, it's Dr. Smith who brings these up in his class, you're just a fool. You're just a fool. The children know. These children that you claim that, well, you need to protect. I'm going to play the next clip. It's just beyond belief that what this guy thinks. Okay, 126:34. Because he's saying that I need to be fired because I make these statements in my classroom. But yet, listen here, what he says here. Okay, hold on. This is priceless.
You can either the objective. The objective wasn't for him to stop doing the show because that
okay. I want to back this up. I want to back this up.
That
I want
their parents are lying to them.
How he justifies
what he's doing. Anyways, this type of person has no place in a classroom. And if he's in a classroom, listen, we gave one of two options.
Okay, he is dictating to me what I need to do. We gave. Notice the word. We gave him one of two options, and he's all but hurt. Well, he's got an investigation going on, by the way. I just want to make sure everybody understands that.
You can either the objective. The objective wasn't for him to stop doing the show because that show goes down. There'll be 20 more pop up tomorrow.
Okay, then why was it one of the options, Imam?
Exactly.
You can either teach or you can do your show. So I chose to do my show. Now, see, this is where he just lies through his teeth. It's sick. Rad, go ahead.
Well, just that's the thing. If that wasn't the objective, then why give it? And I think he also says, it wasn't to take away money out of his family or whatever. Well, then, if that wasn't the case to get him fired, then you know what I mean. Anyway, continue playing it because it gets pretty weird.
Okay. Yep.
So we're not going to stop the Islamophobia. We know we're not going to be able to stop that. So that wasn't the intention. The intention was to get him out of that classroom with that type of mentality. And if that was the case, either he was going to keep doing the show, right? Keep doing the show, or not be a teacher anymore.
Okay, so I was given an ultimatum by the imam out of Texas, which is 1,000 miles away from Iowa. The imam is going to decide what professional career I need to pursue. Well, now he's all butthurt because I chose the former instead of the latter. And this is what he doesn't understand. When you have the credentials that, and I don't want to, I don't want to brag or condescend here, but when you have the academic credentials that I do, it's not hard to find any type of job. And so when leaving the classroom, when I left the classroom, it was not hard for me to just pick up and keep moving forward in a career. I took away that trump card that you thought that you held over me. Oh, well, we're going to get him to stop doing this. Oh, we'll say that we don't want to, that these other shows might keep popping up. We'll say that just to save face. But the key thing is that you wanted to try to hurt me, and you didn't, and you can't now, and that's why the anger, the hatred in your heart is so palpable on your show. So if you want to come on up. You want to come up here and complain to the school board about a teacher, Dr. Eric Smith, Southers or Miller, whatever.
Sutherland, wasn't it? I think it was Sutherland, or that poor guy. We knew him well.
Yeah.
Anyway,
go ahead.
But please, Kenny, Marshall, Charles, let us know. Just give us a couple weeks notice. We'll be glad to head out there. Obviously Eric will be there. Well, maybe not. I don't know, but because he's anyway. Maybe we can get David Wood, Sam, the whole gang, Anthony Rogers, we'll all come out there and we will be the ones in the back smiling. Actually, no, we'll be laughing hysterically when you go up to make your case of how you want a retired teacher to be out of their classroom because you follow a pedophile prophet. You believe that women who are caught in adultery should be stoned to death, gays should be thrown off, or homosexuals should be killed. and apostates also should be killed. Yeah, you go ahead and do that, dude.
Yeah,
Go ahead and make that case.
Yeah.
Yep. Right, exactly. Not only that, but oh, by the way, Kenny, I wonder, would you stone your ex-wife to death because you say that she committed
That was
adultery?
another thing that he admitted on his show yesterday. Are you kidding me?
No, that's a good thing though, because it really shows. I mean, he wouldn't have admitted that 3 years ago. He's really growing in the Islam, and he is, and that's a good thing. And I mean this sincerely, Kenny. I'm not actually mocking you. I actually have a little bit of respect for you when you came to that conclusion or admitted that. I really, really did. But I do have to ask: would you have stoned, your ex-wife to death if she lived under Sharia law? But be that as may, keep playing that because he says, I think he cut out too soon. Maybe rewind it a little bit because he says something like, our intention was to get him out of the classroom, right? Yeah. Play it from that point. Just play it through.
Okay, let me go back here. So that's 126:34. 126. There we go. Right here someplace.
This type of person has no place in a classroom. And if he's in a classroom, listen, we gave one of two options. You can either the objective wasn't for him to stop doing the show, because that show goes down, there'll be 20 more pop up tomorrow. So we're not going to stop the Islamophobia. We know we're not going to be able to stop that. So that wasn't the intention. The intention was to get him out of that classroom with that type of mentality. Mm-hmm. And if that was the case,
yeah, that's. Oh,
keep playing at that point. That's what I wanted you to get to, and mute yourself because you're echoing. Yeah.
All right.
Either he was going to keep doing the show, right? Keep doing the show, or not be a teacher anymore.
Okay, so he's retired. He's not in that classroom.
Okay, that's what he said.
But let me just ask, Kenny. Let me just ask.
But we got some stuff going on behind the scenes that's actually being investigated.
I'm being investigated?
Yeah, he's investigating you. Oh, man. So I hope they are spending money on us. That would be even sweeter. But okay, whatever, Kenny. Keep investigating, dude. But please, dude, let us know when you show up to that school board meeting. I mean, please. And show up in person. Don't whip out and do the virtual thing. Show up in person. Love to be there, dude. Anyway, okay. Yeah, they got one coming up here in August, yeah, too. Anyway, go ahead.
All right.
Continue on, please.
Families to verify or confirm the claims that you're making that he's teaching.
No, I don't need to, because he's made those claims.
Okay, so notice he says, I don't need to get any evidence from the students. What he's saying is that I've made these statements somewhere on my show that Muhammad wasn't a prophet. I've come out on my show before and said Muhammad wasn't a prophet. That's basically what he's saying that I did. And it's not true. This is why his ignorance and his hatred is ruling his heart today.
Claims. Well,
and notice he says that he doesn't need to talk to the families. He doesn't need to talk to the students. And watch what Danny does. What Danny does here is brilliant.
That I'm talking about, he's made those claims. He's made statements in his shows where he's brought up the fact that if he needs to, or times that he actually has let people know what the Muslims did, always trying to portray the Muslims in a negative light.
I don't portray the Muslims in a negative light, Kenny. History portrays the sacking of Constantinople in a negative light. History portrays the Barbary pirates in a negative light. Don't blame me for what happened in history. You need to get over yourself.
Right. So I don't need to speak to the families, and I don't need to speak to the children in this class when I know.
Well, he wouldn't be able to speak to the children in the class because they wouldn't let the children anywhere near him. This is what happens when you are a violent offender. You don't get to talk to children. You don't get to be anywhere near children.
Just by what he's saying, the way he consistently makes these comments, that he's the type of person that will take that into the classroom, and if he can change the mind of a Muslim child, that's what he's going to strive.
Okay, my goal has never been to change the mind of a Muslim child, ever. If I have, I would like you to either post it on your show, provide a video clip, a statement, an email, something to prove that.
To do. He's proven that to He's proven that he's that type of a person. And
Kenny,
we're going to hold
Kenny,
him accountable for that.
that's not evidence, though. I know because he said this.
I
and
think
he
it
said
is
that.
evident.
No, it's not evidence, Kenny. You would be thrown and laughed out of court of law if it's not evidence. Even though you want it to be, it's not.
I think it's sufficient evidence.
Well, you think that would hold up in a court of law?
Yeah, I think it would when out of his own mouth. If he, there's multiple shows been done, but this came up initially when it came to the acknowledgement that he was a teacher to begin with.
Okay, I have acknowledged for the entire time I've been on Blog Talk Radio doing these live streams that I'm a teacher. So this is not new news how he's trying to portray it. He's known this for 3 years, what I do. But now, well, something needs to be done about it.
And then listening here and there, listening to things that he says about what he tells the kids in the classroom, when these specific discussions come up, he's made it known that he has no problem telling these children that, that Muhammad's a false prophet. And
yeah, okay, you're going to need to cite that. You're going to need to bring that up, because if you can't, then that's called a lie. It's called slander.
And what the Muslims did and but are you telling them what the Christian Crusaders did?
Listen to this. This is good.
You're telling them about the atrocities. You're telling them about the people burned at the stake if they rejected the Trinity after the Council of Nicaea. Are you telling them that?
Okay. Am I telling the children about the Christian Crusaders? No, I'm not. I don't. And you know why? Because it's not part of my curriculum. That's why I don't tell them about the Christian Crusaders. Do I tell them about, what was that? What was it? Burning people at the stake for rejecting the Trinity after the Council of Nicaea. No, I don't teach that either. And the reason why I don't teach it, well, there's two reasons I don't teach it. Number one, that's not part of my curriculum either. So I wouldn't be talking about the history of the Christian church and its cultural impact on the world. No, I don't teach that. But the second reason why I wouldn't teach that is because it's not true. That's why I don't teach that. Okay, let's see what else.
If not, why not? So
okay, if not, why not? Well, because it's not part of my curriculum and it's not true. That's why I don't teach it. Okay, so I've had enough of this. George is here. Good to see you, George. Elizabeth.
Let me just conclude with one thing.
Oh, go ahead.
Let me just conclude with one thing. Yeah, the golfer of the year. She's going to go against Tiger Woods coming up soon.
Did you see that? Chris, you are a cold-hearted man.
Should have just. If I could comment, but I'm in Facebook jail. If I could comment, I would say you should just pick up the ball and just throw it at that point in time.
I would have thrown the club at him.
Or go all, what was that dude that was a hockey player that played golf? I don't know that movie, with Adam Sandler. Anyway, just to bring this up,
Happy Gilmore.
Happy Gilmore. This is how Danny's question started out with what happened to Hatun at Speaker's Corner, and that C.L. Edwards said that Muslims suffer from a mental illness. Can you see or allow for the possibility that what Charles did, posting an innocent woman's pictures, phone number, and place of employment, as well as calling Eric and others, hate preachers and swine of the humankind, spreaders of corruption land, could trigger a Muslim who is suffering a mental health crisis to attempt such an attack on Eric or even an innocent woman, like what happened at Hatun Speaks Court? And what did he start with saying right away? Oh, absolutely not. No, see, here's the difference. So he's justified. Okay, all this is justified. Even if someone was to physically attack you, or whatever the woman's name is, okay, anyway, even if they were attack her or a school board member, he would still be justified because it was all about fighting the oppression. You are the oppressor. You know what I mean? You are the one who is spreading corruption. You are the one who's spreading the fitna or division. You are the one who are doing all these things. And slaughter, according to the Quran, oppression is worse than slaughter. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, but that's his justification. I mean, it just simply is. And it's not going to end. I mean, seriously, dude, go get a job at Walmart as a greeter and watch. He'll be post pictures of you being a Walmart greeter. I guarantee he should not be around Walmart shoppers. He should, but in that position, I guarantee you, he'd be calling Walmart. You know what I mean? You got this Islamophobe, but being a Walmart greeter, what's he gonna do to the Muslims?
Well, I've seen. I can't tell you how many former students that I've run into at Walmart that are employed there now.
Right.
It's kind of scary.
That would be funny. Cool.
Yeah, it's pretty classic. Okay, and I appreciate Danny for posing that question, and it was very telling what the response was and what his feelings of that are. So I'm done with this fool. He can do whatever the heck he wants. It doesn't. It's immaterial to me at all. I just wanted to make sure that people understood. Number one, the reason why I did punch out is because it was the endangerment of the kids. That was the number one concern of people downtown. That was the number one concern of mine, because Charles clearly demonstrated how completely unstable he is by posting that, and then seeing all of the record. Seeing the record of the imam who's pushing this entire thing and those other actors, Marshall, involved, is what really concerned people.
That's the Bloody Mary imam. The Bloody Mary imam.
And that in of itself. So if he thinks that I'm more of a danger to children than that, then he can go ahead and try to make that case. It doesn't matter to me anymore. Okay, everybody that came along today, thank you for coming. I see Danny's there. Thank you for doing that question yesterday. Dragon, I appreciate you moderating there. Elizabeth Milan, you came today. I sent you the link, my lady. You could have come on the air, but that's okay. I understand you. Sometimes people don't want to do that. Shepherd's Hook was here. Denise Claus was here. The golfer extraordinaire. Who else was here? George came. George Borg, other people. Brian GL was here. And who else? XYZ was in the house. Dr. Kufar Phobia was here. Aladdin made an appearance saying that he wanted to debate me about my Palestinian or my Israeli flag because, well, he's from Palestine. Okay, we'll see y'all Sunday, 2:00, crossing the crescent. We're still working out a topic. I want to do a continuation of the lack of any type of evidence for Mecca in the 7th century. But there's another person who calls himself the Trinitarian Muslim. He was on the show a while back. He sent me an email saying that he wants to come on. So we're going to just be watching for the notification. We'll send it to you then. God bless y'all. We'll see you.
And don't forget to like.